Now let's see how we are going to grant the user, or we're going to see how to create a user account so that this user, we're going to use this particular user to log into the remote session. So what we need to do now is, let's increase the font. I'm going to show you two ways to create user accounts. And after we are done creating this user account, the user will not be able to perform tasks as an administrator or as the admin. So for that case, we need to grant that particular user as part of the administrator or the sudo. So as you are using sudo, that means that you are granting full privilege, of which a normal or regular user does not have that permission. So after creating the user, we're going to add the user or append the user to the administrative group, which we call sudo. Okay, so now let's see how to do that. So the first command, let's print a manual. We call it user add. So that is one of the methods. So you can see it's used to create a user. So we can use this to create a user account. Let's quit by pressing Q. Another way to do the same is add user. This is also another method. Let's add a manual in front to see the manual representation of these two. This tool is also responsible for adding users, for adding groups. So it's responsible for adding and manipulating users or groups. So we can use this one also. So in order to use the first one, just type the command user add, and after user add, the name of the user you want to create. Remember, I'm not putting sudo here because I've logged in as the root user. So if you just type sudo with a space and su, they'll ask you for the privileges and it will change you right into this. So to let you know what I meant, control type exit, and then it comes back to the regular. So regularly, this is the interface that we know. So I'm granting full privilege so that they will not ask me to be providing anything any longer. So I just type sudo with the xu, then it will change me right into the root account. So I'm in the root user account now. Let's clear the screen. So now user add the name of the user. So I'm calling the user H, and then the user already exists, so I have to create another user called R, and R is not existent, so to be created. So after creating the user, to create a password, we just use the command passwd. Is used to assign a password for the user. They'll ask for a new password, then you confirm the password. Once confirmed, it will be updated successfully. So that is how it's done. So if I type cat space /etc with passwd, it will going to display the list of users I've created. So you see, the last user we just created is R, so you can see R showing right here. So that is how to create this user account and assign a password. Okay, so now let's also try the add user utility. So the add user command, let's see what it's going to do for us. So we're just going to put add user, and after add user, we give it any name. So I want to call it Q as the name. We're just calling it any name. Then we execute this and see if it's going to work for us. So okay, so it says that adding new group, adding new user, creating home directory, and then creating files into a particular location. So now the user has been created, Q, and it's asking us to set a password. So we like to set a password, so I'm providing the password in there. You don't see the password as a type for security reasons. Then it says that password has been updated successfully. So after that is done, it's asking that you should provide these values. If you're okay, if you press enter, nothing will be set to it. So if I want, I can put the full name of this person. I can call this person Kofi or Queen Shiba. Then we execute this. To ask us for room number. If I don't want to provide room number, I leave it as default. Now hit on enter. Work number, if I know the work number I can provide, but I want to skip this. The home phone, I can skip. Other, I can skip that too. And it's asking, is the information correct? So all that you have provided is asking you, is it correct? So if it's correct, you go for an option Y or capital Y, whichever way, it will perform the same action. So if you go for no, that means the action is not going to take effect. But we are accepting what we have provided and we know it's right. So we go for Y, then we click on OK, and then this user will be added. So the user has been created successfully. Let's clear the screen and check if this user has been added. So as usual, let's go to cat and then the password, and you should see that Kale is created and with the name Queen Sheba. That was the full name we provided. So you see it showed there. We didn't add any extra options, so we just call it Queen Sheba and we're good to go. So that is how to add a user. So now that this user has been created, we need to add the user to a group. So in order to add the user to a group, so what we're going to do is that we are going to switch and then log in with this user and see if this user can perform administrative privilege. So we have created the user called K. Was it K? Let's see. The last user was K. So we are going to log in with K and see if it's going to work. I'm going to sign out from this account and then log in again. Yes. Then provide the name here. So I created the name as K and the password. I put it there and I click on OK. Then I should be able to log in. So wait for a few minutes and boom, we are in there. So in a few minutes time it will be ready for us. So let's wait for a few minutes so you can see you've been able to log in with this user. So let's move into the terminal and try to perform an action or any activity as an administrator which requires administrative privilege and see if you can get permission to do that. So let's see how that is going to be done. So launch your terminal. So let's launch your terminal once again. So that is it. So you can see the name is Skill. If I type pwd, you can see that's the name, that is Skill, and you can also see it here, Q at Kali. So that is it. So now if I want to perform any task like sudo, that requires administrative privilege. So sudo, let's say su. It will ask me to provide a password for my queue, my account, which is 1. It was the password I chose. Execute this, and it's going to tell me that queue is not a sudo OS file, or is not in the sudo OS file, which simply means that this user is not placed into the sudo file, so it's not part of the sudo OS file. So the only person who has permission are the user or his administrator, which we call Kali. He has a permission. So without this privilege, there's no way the user can perform administrative tasks with this account. So in order to perform those tasks, you have to place Q in a group called sudo. The sudo is what is being put, that's the sudo S file, it's called sudo, and that is where Kali is kept. So you have to place this user Q in the sudo S file. If not, we will not be able to perform this task. So in order to do that, what we need to do is to type this command usermod. So we type usermod, but we can't do it here. I have to switch out and log in back to the administrative privilege Kali as administrator. Then I can perform this time before we can log in. So we have to sign out because it's not going to work for us here. So we need to connect again, and this time around we are going to log in with administrative privilege. So a different account that has administrative privilege. That's where we are working with. So that's where we created our Queen Sheba. So this one has administrative privilege, so we can run the command here. So now let's try again. So the command then is sudo. We already have that root privilege, so we don't need to type sudo any longer. We type usermod. Simply means you want to modify. So let's see, manual for usermod is telling us that it's used to modify our user account. So you can see right there. So press Q to create out of it, and then usermod. Then we bring a space, and then we bring a -a. This small a simply means that append the user to, then I'll put a G. So append the user or add the user to a group. And which group do you want to add the user to? Bring a space, and I said you want to add the user to the sudo group. And then bring a space, then the name of the user you want to grant this privilege. So I want to place this user called kill into this group. So A is going to append the user kill into the group called what? Sudo. So that's what this command is going to do. So let's clear the man. We don't need any man. So now we can execute this. So this is going to make sure that the user kill is placed into this what? User or the sudo file. So this is the user do what they're asking about. So Kali, or the root administrator that I've logged in with called Kali, is placed into this what? Group called sudo. So I have to place this user also into what? Into the same file. So just execute this command, and then you can see it has been placed successfully. So now we can switch out and log in again and try to perform administrative tasks with this user kill and see if it's going to work or not. So now log in again with kill and then the password. Okay, so now let's see if it's going to work for us. So sudo user add, because this is going to provide administrative tasks. So user add gh, and then we execute this command. Now you see it is asking for the root password. Now if I grant or provide my password now it's still saying that the user is not in the super is not placed in there yet. So now let's test the command that we just type and see the outcome there. So we just type sudo to confirm if the user is added to the sudo users. So sudo and then su. They'll ask us for a password. Provide the password. See, we've been able to have access. So that is how you can add the user to the group, and then you'll be able to use the user privilege.